Ah, what a lovely day. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and now it's time to ruin it for everybody. Floodgates. Everybody hates floodgates. Well, everybody whose penis is larger than a thumbtack anyway. So the good thing about floodgates is that generally they affect the person using them as well, meaning if you're playing a deck like YUGIOH, which is all plant monsters, you can play something like Rivalry, but you wouldn't play something like that can only be one, since it just kind of screws with your own deck. Even a deck like Eldritch that can play most floodgates still can't play something like Dimensional Fissure because it will just screw over their own deck. Now you might notice that with a trend between the three cards I just mentioned, they all seem to fuck with monster cards. Well, the art I'm about to show you, it doesn't actually have any monster cards. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video or see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently about 50% of people watching this or even subscribed to the channel, yet nearly all of you are returning viewers who have seen my content before. So if you find yourself keep coming back to the channel and see more content just like this in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. I also have plenty of plans for other selection pack content over the upcoming days, maybe even some stuff on the zombie structure deck as well, so if you're interested in any of that stuff, remember to subscribe as, yeah, I'll be doing new content all week. Alright, so before I get into the deck list, I actually wanted to show you something real quick, as I was very impressed by this deck's win rate. I didn't think it'd be anywhere near as good as it is. I played this in the Duelist Cup quite a bit recently, because it just came out, and whilst just testing the deck, I had a, ridiculous win rate. I dropped only 2 games, and these are all people that are in Diamond or former Diamonds. It's not like they're all shit players. It's all just fairly decent players, all playing fairly decent decks, and they got absolutely smoked. So this deck list is a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought because it's sort of mostly only a turn 1 deck, it would just suck. But surprisingly, it's still okay going second, and going first, most matchups are just absolutely decimated at the moment. So for those who've never actually encountered this art type before, this art type is called Runick, and it's basically just a shit ton of spell cards that like to fusion summon out fusion monsters. And the win con of this deck list isn't actually to do damage to your opponent. You can win via that, but it's kind of rare. Most wins you're going to get is via your opponent just completely giving up because they're sick of all the floodgates, or you're going to just deck out your opponent, as every single one of your Runick spells will banish a certain amount of cards from the top of your opponent's deck whenever you activate them. So let's go through the spells quite briefly. So the main spell for the deck list and the one you're going to be using the most is going to be Runick Fountain. It is the field spell. You'll be wanting this as often as possible, and you're going to be getting it basically every duel because of course we're running Terraforming, and of course we're running Hugin the Runick Wings, which is a card that when it's summoned, just discard 1 card, search for your field spell. Very simple. This card is insane. You can activate Runick Quick Play spell cards from your hand during your opponent's turn, so it just turns all your Runick Quick Play spells into hand traps. Once per turn, if you activate a Runick Quick Play spell, you can target up to 3 Runick Quick Play spells in your graveyard, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, then draw the same number of cards. So this card, you can draw 3 cards during your turn, then pass over to your opponent's turn, activate a quick play spell again during their turn, and there's another 3 draws, or potentially 3 draws for you. Next up, we have Runick Allure. Now this card is a card that a lot of people have been cutting from the deck list, and a lot of people won't actually run it. I think you probably should run it since it's more fun that way, and also it's searchable obviously off of Munin, meaning you can just grab it whenever you want it, so especially if you already have your field spell, it's kind of nice to just have something else to search for, so you're not just summoning this card for no reason. You can just summon this card, search for your Runick Allure. I think it's better that way. Alright, each time a quick play spell card activates, banish the top card of your opponent's deck. You can only control 1 Runick Allure. So this card is really good as obviously your entire deck list is quick play spells, so you're going to be banishing the top card of your opponent's deck repeatedly. Also keep in mind, it works with any quick play spell, including your opponent's, so your opponent will also be banishing the top of their deck list when they use quick play spells. Next up, we have the Runick Quick Play spells. Now I don't want to keep you guys here for too long, so I'll try to go through these very briefly, so we don't stay here forever. Alright, so Runick Tip allows you to search for any of your Runick cards. Flashing Fire allows you to target one special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it. We have Destruction, which can target spell and trap cards and destroy them. We have your Freezing Curses, which target effects monsters and negates them. We have your Slumber, which can target face-up monster, make it so it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and also it cannot attack during the turn. So very important that you can use both effects. You can use it to stop your opponent from attacking your life points, or you can use it to protect some of your own monsters so your opponent can't get rid of them. Then we have your Smiting Storm, which is a card that banishes cards from the top of your opponent's deck equal to the number of cards they control, which is pretty damn good within combination with things like Skill Drain and your Majesty's Fiend, as if you negate your opponent's entire field, then you activate this card, you're just going to be making sure they just mill their entire deck list. The final two we have is Golden Droplet and your Dispelling. These cards are actually pretty good in combination with each other, so I like to include at least one copy of each of them. This card makes it so your opponent draws one card, then banishes the top 4 cards of their deck. All your cards when you activate their first effect does come with a banishing effect, but this one banishes the most by far, just banishing flat out 4 cards from the top of their deck. Then we have your Runick Dispelling, which is if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, you can make them discard one random card, then banish the top 2. So pretty good to activate this card, then combine it with your Dispelling, since it'll make it so that it gives them a draw, so you can activate this card. Now each of your quick play spells does come with a second effect, and that is you're able to special summon Runick monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. This is how you get out any of your fusion monsters. You can activate any of your Runick quick play spells and summon them straight to the extra monster zone. But do keep in mind, these cards are only usable once per turn, and only one effect per turn. This is all hard once per turn, so you can only activate one Runick Tip per turn, and you can only activate one effect of Runick Tip per turn. Speaking of the fusions, let's get into them. So the first one's going to be your Hugin, at least I think that's how you pronounce it. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can discard one card, add one Runick field spell from your deck to your hand. So this basically means any of your quick play spells can now search for your Runick Fountain by just summoning this card to the field. Alright, if another card you control be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card you control instead. Keep in mind, since all your cards are quick play effects and you can special summon this card whenever you want, if your opponent activates a Harpy's Feather Duster, in response you can activate your quick play spell, summon this card to the field, and that will just protect all your stuff from being destroyed. Alright, if this card in the field is destroyed battle or card effect, you can return this card to the extra deck. Next up, we have Munin. This card is very similar to the previous in that you just special summon it to then discard one card, only this time it adds one Runick continuous spell, which is going to be your Allure from deck to hand. Alright. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a Runick card you control or a set card you control, quick effect, you can banish this card you control, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. Once per turn during the end phase, gain 1000 life points. And the final one is going to be your Geri. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can target one non-quick play Runick spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. When this card is destroyed in battle, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. So this card you're generally going to be using for that last effect, as just summoning this card to the field is really annoying for your opponent, as it means if they remove it, they're going to have one of their cards removed as well. So it's a very, very annoying card, and can actually stall out a lot of games just by itself from your opponent just refusing to attack it. As for the rest of the deck list, it's probably all cards you've seen before, just a shit ton of random ass floodgates. You've got your lava golem to just trying to have some way to go second by tributing off your opponent's annoying stuff, and we have your Majesty's Fiend because you're a cunt. Alright guys, I won't keep you here any longer, let's just get into the gameplay. So today I have 3 replays to show you guys. Normally when I do this part of the video I'll be showing you some kind of combo tutorial or something like that, but this deck list isn't like that. There's no like actual combos for this deck, so instead I'm just going to be showing you some flat out replays of me playing the deck list. Also keep in mind that I normally show you some more replays, but as you can see by this one lasting 12 turns, this deck list normally takes quite a while, so it's kind of hard to show a whole heap of replays for it. Alright, plus you probably get the understanding of how the deck works just from like 2 replays anyway, so... Alright. So all these replays were from the Duelist Cup like I showed earlier, so these aren't from Ranked Ladder, but each of my opponents was like Diamond or so anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Alright, so we've got a banger of a hand here. And we're actually going second this time. Oh, this replay was actually so good. This is a Tri-Brigade, Tri-Brigade and we went second. This is what I mean, by the way, when I said at the start of the video, where this deck list is still pretty damn good going second if you get hold of things like Lava Golem or your Majesty's Fiend. Especially if your opponent has no way to sort of remove the first monster, it's banger. Alright. So dude's doing all the standard Tri-Brigade stuff. He's doing branded Tri-Brigade, in fact. Shout out to my video, which actually shows off this combo tutorial, by the way, if anyone's interested. Alright, we can fast forward this a little bit. Summons out his dude, summons out another dude, does some more stuff. Blah blah blah. Goes into a Verte. Summons out Mirror Jade. All the standard branded Tri-Brigade stuff. Makes sure to use this dude as material so he can search for his trap card. Alright, Mirror Jade, searching for trap card. As you can see, it's a pretty decent board he's set up here. He'll even add the bird back to his hand at the end of the turn, so he has a hand trap negate, the pop from the Mirror Jade, he has the return to hand from this, and he'll have his trap card set. And I'm going to beat it using a going first deck. Keep that in mind. This deck's normally going first. It's like a strategy. Alright, so first thing we do, instant Lava Golem, get that shit out of here. Also means you can no longer use the hand trap because the Mirror Jade's gone. Activate Dimensional Fissure. Generally, it's good to activate Dimensional Fissure fairly quickly, since your opponent, if they have any hand traps, it will make them go to the graveyard, and it actually means that some hand traps just can't be used outright. Alright, activate my spell. For some reason, he now instantly uses his Revolt. Apparently, he really doesn't like this spell. Thankfully, we actually drew curses, so we have a negate in our hand. So we're going to stop that real quick, so it doesn't get rid of our probably most important spell in the deck list. Still kind of weird that he used it now, since if I had another one of these, it just kind of screwed him. And I can search for it anyway, because that's how, like, Runicks work. But anyway. Gonna negate that real quick. Alright. Draw one card by shuffling this card back into the deck, because we activated a quick play spell. Setting one card, and passing the turn. So his board is still fairly stacked. Minus 1,000. Summons his dude to the field. Thankfully we have a skill drain ready for all these monster effects, just to make sure they're not going to be doing anything too annoying. And now our main goal, just like with Runicks most times, is just to not die. Because if you don't die, you're probably going to win the game. That's just how this deck list functions. You're going to mill your opponent so much, make them so annoyed, they'll just concede. Goes to battle phase, tries to swing in. Activate my Slumber in response, summoning out my Geri from the extra deck. For some reason, or because I activate a quick play spell, I can draw a card, shuffling that card back to the deck. And for some reason, he stopped attacking with this one and went for a swing with this one instead. I don't know. Hit it. Goes to the, gets destroyed, so then it can destroy a card on the field. Destroying his other 3,000 attack dude and passing back to me. Oh, sorry, after he does a summon for access code first to remove my skill drain. Yeah, a bit of a hefty cost for that one. Redraw a card. Activate our tip. Which would summon a card to the field. Oh, sorry. We're gonna search for a card first. Go to Poppy's back row, and he's just had enough. He's like, nope. I cannot be bothered. Probably good for him too, considering he did all that to remove my skill drain. I was about to just normal summon a monster, which would literally be a skill drain anyway. Alright, game 2. So that's a good example of this deck list actually doing well going second. A lot of the time with just Floodgates, since a lot of them sort of remove your opponent's stuff or negate their effects, decks do kind of work going second if you're patient enough with it. Alright. Lava Golem certainly does help too. Alright, so once again we opened our spell, so we have to search it. This means I can special summon out the copy of Munin, so I can search for the continuous spell instead. Discarding one card. Keep in mind this is also a bit of a combo when you're using the field spell in combination with the fusions. Since most of your fusions do discard, it's generally a good idea to discard first. This way you can discard another copy of another Runick spell, so when you activate your Runick Fountain, you can use 2 cards in graveyard. So keep that in mind. Generally a good idea to discard first, then activate your Runick Fountain. So generally this chain order is generally better. You can also do it in the other one if you want to chain block, but you won't get as many draws. Alright, he's going to activate Imperm to stop me searching the continuous spell. I could have used this thing in response to negate this thing's effect, but I don't really care too much because I don't really care about the continuous spell anyway, so it's kind of whatever. Alright, drew into Majesty's Fiend, which is really good. Tribute summon out my Majesty's Fiend. He's completely turned off. And we have a skill drain, and there can only be one. Alright, this duel went for a very long time. Alright, summons out this card, beats over it, and passes back. Alright. Runick Slumber, gonna be summoning out my Runick. I'll be fast forwarding it a little bit as this does go on for a long while. Discarding my own card so then I can search for the continuous now. Adding this card to hand, drawing one card. Activating it, ending phase, going to my opponent's turn. Not going to use this card yet because I want to use it during my opponent's turn so I can draw another card with my fountain. Tries to summon a rock monster to the field. I activate there can only be one, so you can now no longer summon any rock monsters, which is his entire deck's purpose. And this card basically by itself wins me the game. Pops my card, we don't really care. Summon another one to the field. Allure, gonna be drawing another card, banishing another card from top of his deck, and adding this card back to my hand so I can discard it later on for more discard fodder. Yeah, I think we'll keep it fast forwarded from here on out because this goes for 12 turns. I'm only on turn 5. Alright. Turns out, by the way, that me saying this was actually a mistake because it comes up later on because I actually need the extra zone for another continuous spell that I wanted to use. So, probably shouldn't have done that. I was just kind of worried he'd pop this one and he'd be able to do stuff, so I set the other one as well, but I don't know. Pops my card, I destroy his face down. Summon out my copy of Runick Wings, banishing another card, drawing another card. Discarding and searching. Good bit of deck thinning out as well. And drawing into another Majesty's Fiend. Can't really do much with that though, because this monster has more attack. But since this card keeps shuffling itself back into the extra deck anyway, I don't ever actually run out of Runick spells or Runick monsters. I can literally just summon one once a turn, and he can only attack once a turn, so he can't really win. And there's a Dimensional Fissure I really wanted to activate, because it's super good versus this deck list, but I kind of screwed myself a little bit. And this turn back again. Making sure, by the way, to go into battle phase every turn, even though I don't plan to attack, just so I remove the downside in case I do want to attack with the Majesty's Fiend at some point. Alright, there's probably other ways I could have ended this. Like, I think if I'd activated Skill Drain, this thing would no longer be protected from destruction. I think this thing is immune to destruction, I think. At least that's what it is. I think I remember that from Duel Links. I don't actually remember this card too well, but anyway. So I probably could have negated it then, or negated it with one of my spells or something, then popped it, but I was happy just chilling. I definitely could have finished this duel a lot quicker. Right, banishing another 2 from the top of his deck. Banishing card because he has the thing on board. Look how many cards I'm just banishing, by the way. He's got 42 cards to go through, but I can do this infinitely. I'll just keep recycling this guy and keep drawing cards. And he's just done from there, because he just has no way to play the game. Alright. Even if he had a feather duster, like my card is on the field that stops him destroying everything. So he can't actually activate that. Even if he beats over it, I activate the quick play spell, summon another one out, and he just can't do it again. So he'd have to have like, I don't know, he'd really have to have some like multiple removal sources to get rid of all that field. Alright, final replay. This one is not going to be as long as the last one, so hopefully we won't have to fast forward it. Alright. Once again, actually had access to the field spell again, which is quite lucky. Though not that great, because normally when you have the access to the field spell, we'd use the fusion monster that searches for the allure. But I kind of had access to both now, so I'm like, oh. Well, I guess I don't really have to do either. Alright. Activating my dude to summon out my Hugin. Still gonna activate its effect, because I want to have 2 Runick spells in the graveyard. Activating the Fountain. Drawing 2 cards. He imperms me, which is like, bruh, why? Literally why? I've already got the field spell. I'm not going to search for anything. I was literally using it just for the discard. But if that's what he wants to do, go right ahead. Banishing for top of his deck. Now you'd think this matchup was actually pretty good for him, because it turns out he's playing Flunder, and a lot of his cards he wants to be banished, because he gets a lot of searches out of it. But somehow we still actually beat this deck. Here's the Feather Duster example. Tries to Feather Duster. This card's on the field, so it says no. Tries to activate the continuous spell. I wait for him to actually use the effect of it, so then I can pop it. So he can't just activate another one. Use these flunderies to then do some other stuff, special summon some dude or something. Don't really care too much. As long as his field spell's gone, I'm quite content. This Flunder is so much worse without the field spell. Also very lucky banish there, since they won. This is a good example of how this deck's banishing from top of the deck can be really damn annoying, because it gets rid of annoying one-offs. They only run one copy of Riser, so banishing this card's like, wow. Well, that's a big card they've just lost. So if we ever banish the Griffin from the top of the deck, or we get rid of one of their big dudes, it can be pretty damn good. Alright, so he's going to use his own banished power to his advantage here. And this power to hand, summoning it to the field. Still not too worried though, it's not like he can kill me this turn. It'll be pretty damn hard for him to do so. Especially when I have these two cards in hand still. Tribute summons out his big one. But this card's main aim is to stop monster effects, which you don't really use anyway, so I like really do not care. Gets a hold of this card that I didn't even know they had. Banishes my card in graveyard. Bit annoying because now we can't get that back and we can't use it with the fountain, but that's alright. Tries to swing in. Summon out my fusion monster to the field, which if he destroys it, I pop his card. He still does it anyway for some reason. Before I pop his card, I make sure to banish 2 from top of his deck since he has 2 monsters on field. Drawing another 2, shuffling back into the deck. Another pretty good banish there actually, getting rid of that one. Pop his big guy. Take 700, I don't care. I could have summoned out another card actually, but I didn't really care. I was happy to save these cards for the next turn. Alright. Runick Destruction, popping one of the cards. Banishing a shit ton from the top of his deck. Banishing another card from the top of his deck. Summon out this card once again. Allure. Gonna be adding 2. Alright, hitting there can only be 1, which is a very important hit, because we really need this card on the field. Makes it really hard for Flunder to play the game. So we're looking for negates or that one. We kind of hit one of them. So skill drain, there can only be 1, or the dude that we tribute on this would have been really good. So it's like there can only be 1. Our opponent now is just completely screwed. He just concedes from there. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.